The pandemic has highlighted just how much the Australian economy relies on migrant workers, but their salaries are falling. According to a new guidebook published by the Grattan Institute, recent migrants are getting paid less today than they were a decade ago, despite arriving with higher levels of education and experience.
French migrant Benoit arrived in Australia with a Master of Law, but he knew there was nothing legal about the experiences with his former employer. He says he worked overtime every day, clocking up hundreds of unpaid hours.
You're not really allowed to, find a job with higher pay or better quality because of the conditions of the visa. So it became very daunting and started cycling into sort of a depression, anxiety phase.
New research says roughly half of migrants to Australia are tertiary educated when they arrive, but that the minimum salary or temporary skilled income threshold has not risen in nearly a decade.
It has remained flat since 2013 at that 53,900 level. So we've seen more of Australia's temporary skilled migrant group come in working in relatively low wage jobs for this specific amount, which has dragged down the wages.
Roughly 1 in 5 in the Australian workforce is a migrant with either a permanent or temporary visa. The latter are particularly vulnerable. Many make a living in the hospitality industry, migrants equalling 40% of the sector's workforce. The Migrant Justice Institute says underpayment is a systemic problem and that only 1 in 10 people affected come forward.
We need to create a new environment where employers feel that there is a realistic prospect that if they underpay workers or they exploit migrant workers, they will get caught and that migrant workers will come forward. And they don't just expect that migrant workers will remain silent.
Benoit says he felt trapped and couldn't stay quiet when he was being paid for 38 hours a week, but in reality was working 55.
It doesn't take a genius to understand that's not quite right.
Speaking out to shine a light on issues affecting many of Australia's migrant workers. Rochelle Harrison-Pless, SBS World News.